So for me, it's important that when I actually study, for example, at the library, that I have different ways to study, so that I don't only have the chance to sit at a desk, but also, I don't know, sit on chairs, like work in groups, study with friends, so that I have some diversity, some variety in how I can study. And then additionally, it's important that that I always have someone I can maybe talk to or I can ask questions to. Something which I've heard also other international students talk about are the opening hours, for example, of the library. Most of us, I think, are used to longer opening hours, and also on the weekends, for example, especially when it gets closer to the exams, because then sometimes you don't want to maybe study first thing in the morning until only 6 or so, but you want to change up your schedule a little bit. So I think that would be nicer to have a little bit more flexibility in, like, just the whole opening hours. And another general thing, not related to the library or to the studying itself maybe, but it's maybe the accessibility to cheaper food, something which I think is always very important. So maybe not only to have like a really cheap option for a lunch, but also to have like a grocery store or something on campus or very close to the campus. Most of the time I cook, and from the other internationals I know they do the same. So they also, most of us cook at home or try to cook at home, and only rarely buy actual lunches here. I think, yeah, especially in the laboratories, in the science buildings, there are quite a lot of microwaves and a lot of tables, I would say. That's pretty good. Whereas maybe here, in the ABCDE buildings, there is, I mean, there's this big room with a lot of microwaves, but besides that, I can't really remember many others. I mean, I cannot think of anything which was recently announced, but I know that maybe it's not like necessarily which is something which is written on like a board or something, but there are sometimes announcements also on the website or on maybe Instagram or sometimes Facebook, where some events are just in Swedish, so that's just. I mean, maybe they are just the whole event is in Swedish. Then of course it makes more sense that it's announced in Swedish. But I think it's still nice to have like to know even as an international what kind of event it is. So to just have everything, at least not only in Swedish but also in English. I think that it's nice to know that when you apply somewhere, that you will have some sort of guidance also in the direction of where you will live. There, I think, yeah, it would be nice to have a little more input from the university. Maybe if they offered, like, if they offered more actual housing, or if they really helped in finding other kinds of places like private accommodations or so. For example, I had 3, 4, 5 courses, I think, and I would say in half of them, I mean, the majority was usually international students, and the Swedish students who were there were more for themselves, except of maybe in one or yeah, maybe except of in one of the courses where we really had contact with Swedish students, where we were like partners in the lab. But besides that, I would say, since the Swedish students, they knew each other already, they were more for themselves, and us as internationals, we were also more. But yeah, there was not really like a connection or much of a, yeah, contact. I wouldn't really know what kind of forums or so I would go to if I had like an actual question. I think I would rather maybe try to text someone like directly or something. But yeah, maybe these kind of forums, also like to get in contact with Swedish students. That's, I don't really know if that exists or how to access that. I think it's always important to mention these kind of things at the very beginning. So to have like in these lectures or presentations we have at the beginning where they explain the person number and all these kind of things, if there they mention already that there is like a certain forum or some sort of website where you can just ask your questions and there will be someone like a Swedish student, for example, who answers that for sure, then I think that would be nice. So to just know from the beginning that this exists and to also know that they are well maintained so that there is always, maybe not in within the next 5 minutes, but you know that there is someone who will take care of your issue. I think that would be nice.